The other way around? Yeah. No. Here's the ball. Here? Okay.
You can switch if you feel like it. You can just color, no? I did.
Muito boa tarde.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to receive the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Jordan, my dear friend Ahmad Al-Safadi. Thank you very much for having accepted the invitation to participate in the meeting of EU Ministers of Foreign Affairs. The Jordanian minister took part in our working lunch today, a working lunch dedicated to the situation in the Middle East and to the prospects for the peace process in the Middle East. So thank you very much for your presence there this afternoon. We would also like to use this opportunity to finally have a bilateral meeting in presence. We've talked a lot on the phone, quite a lot actually, over the last few months, but we had not yet had the opportunity to meet bilaterally, face-to-face. It's the third time Minister Al-Safadi visits Portugal, and I hope it will be the third of many to come, many visits in the future. Political and diplomatic relations between Portugal and Jordan are excellent. There is no other adjective to describe them. Portugal and Jordan have a lot in common, beginning with their size, the size of the population. Both countries have around 10 million inhabitants. But above all, what they share, what they have in common is the openness, the moderation with which they act in the world. They know how to talk to everybody. Their regional and foreign policy is balanced. And we are, above all, in favor of peace, stability, security, and prosperity for all. In bilateral terms, we hope to hold political consultations during the second semester of 2021, right here in Lisbon, to redefine our relations, economic cooperation in the field of tourism, cooperation in the field of education, and also cultural relations. And so we have a working program ahead of us. And so once again, my thank you to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Jordan for being here with us in Lisbon today, whether it be in the European context or in terms of the bilateral relations with Portugal. Thank you.
First, Your Excellency, I would like to thank you for good hospitality and for inviting me to participate in this meeting of the Foreign Affairs Ministers of the EU that you're hosting in Portugal as the presidency of the EU, and I congratulate you on your successful presidency of the EU at a time of the EU Council at a time that you've witnessed a lot of challenges that required extensive work. So congratulations on your excellent work and your success. I would also like to thank you for the bilateral discussions that we had and our agreement to continue cooperation in various areas, whether fighting COVID and its repercussions, increasing economic cooperation, education, investments, and other areas. As you mentioned, I did visit Portugal previously with His Majesty King Abdullah II, who also views with great importance this bilateral relationship, and we hope that we will continue these political discussions and negotiations to develop a clear road plan, to develop cooperation between us within clear priorities that will start with dealing with COVID-19, of course, but it will also focus on cooperation in the field of tourism next summer and other areas. Our relationship is very special, as you said, it's very strong, and there's a lot of potential for improving even and strengthening this cooperation. There's also great will to improve cooperation and relations with the EU in general, and we hope to take practical steps to increase cooperation in various areas. Our meeting today, my meeting today with the foreign affairs ministers of the EU was a very important opportunity to consult amongst partners who believe in the inevitability of just peace. It's a common interest. It's a necessity for all of us. We in the Middle East and Europe, we feel we are one region because what happens in the Middle East will have repercussions as reflected in Europe and vice versa. So achieving a just and comprehensive peace is a common interest. It's a necessity for our security and stability. The recent escalation that we saw further confirmed the centrality of the Palestinian cause and the impossibility of achieving a permanent and just peace without solving the Palestinian issue based on a two-state solution with an independent state of Palestine with the borders on with its borders on the limits of 1967 in accordance with international legitimacy and the Arab Peace Initiative. And here I'd like to affirm that any kind of proposal that tries to bypass the Palestinian issue is unrealistic. It cannot be achieved. And as I said, today's meeting was also an opportunity to consult with our European partners about the prospects of resuming effective negotiations to achieve a just and lasting peace. It's an opportunity to also cooperate in the reconstruction in Gaza, to find a political horizon, a political prospects to overcome the despair that will only serve extremist agendas. We need to manufacture hope. Hope is a necessity for us to work towards permanent and just peace. I'd like to reaffirm again, as we spoke today in our meeting, we talked about the importance of the European role in the region. Europe has an important historical role in the region in the efforts to achieve peace and stability in our region. We want this role to continue, and we affirm the importance of a clear European position, an effective position in the efforts to achieve peace. And I salute the position of your country, its clear position supporting a two-state solution based on international legitimacy and international law as a point of departure, a point of reference for achieving peace. This is the European position, the European role, and we need a unified European position towards the requirements of peace in the Middle East. We want to send a clear message that we need to protect all chances for achieving peace To do that, we need a very clear position, rejecting unilateral steps that undermine peace and threaten a new escalation, including illegal settlements, including violations in Al-Aqsa Holy Mosque that will again flame a new escalation, in addition to the eviction of the citizens, Palestinian citizens from their homes in Sheikh Jarrah, which is a war crime. And all of us in the international community need to stop this because it's a violation of international law, and it will take us most certainly into new escalation. All of this was discussed today. It was very open, very frank. Once again, I look forward to cooperating with you, dear friend, and with our colleagues and partners in the EU in order to achieve peace, stability, and security, and to resolve all the regional problems and the challenges that are common challenges for us. Thank you very much once again, and we look forward to more dialogue that will pave the way for additional cooperation, more cooperation in the future. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we have very limited time for questions, and we'll start with a question from the room. RTP.
Good
afternoon, Minister Augusto Santos Silva. We heard today that we need to relaunch the peace process for the two-state solution in the Middle East. I ask you, what measures are possible at a time when the two parties, or in this case, one of them, Israel, is only apparently listening to the United States, which hasn't changed its position too much with regards to the previous president. The embassy is still in Jerusalem. And the question for the Minister of Jordan, what steps, concrete steps, do you expect to be taken by the European Union so that the peace process can be really, truly relaunched? How do we go from words to actions? I can begin then, says the Minister Santos Silva. Let me just say that there has been significant progress in the American position. President Joe Biden has been very clear in defending the two-state solution as being a peaceful, long-lasting solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is a significant change with regards to the previous administration. We believe in the European Union that it is possible to relaunch the quartet, the format thanks to which the UN, the EU, the US, and the Russian Federation can cooperate to relaunch the peace process in the Middle East. We saw positive results already after the escalation of violence, the conflict that unfortunately broke out in the region. This led to a ceasefire, the ceasing of hostilities, but the ceasefire has bought us some time. It's given us some time. The ceasefire is not in and of itself a solution. The ceasefire is a transitional creation of conditions that will allow the political and diplomatic process to be relaunched. It needs to be relaunched with the support of all those who in the EU, in the Arab world, in the international community uphold the inalienable right of both Palestinians and Israelis to living in peace and security in their state. And so they defend that the two-state solution, coexisting peacefully with territories that are defined in accordance with international law, the 1967 borders being the reference point, they defend that that is the solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That solution would be a decisive contribution to peace in the whole of the Middle East. And so it is very important for legitimate authorities in Israel and Palestine to, as quickly as possible, begin direct negotiations. It is very important for voices to be moderate and supersede voices of extremism. It is important for political process to prevail over social violence or military confrontation.
بداية أود أن أؤكد على ما قاله معالي
I
الأزم.
would like to confirm what my friend just said. President Joe Biden made statements that were very positive, such as reopening the U.S. Embassy in East Jerusalem, upholding the two-state solution, resuming financial support to UNRWA and to the PNA, and that the international community needs to continue supporting the UNRWA, which is playing a very important role in helping Palestinian refugees. As we saw, for example, what they did in Gaza, or the role that they played in Gaza and supporting Gaza. The American position was also very clear that all illegal settlements need to stop, all unilateral steps that were taken need to stop because they stand in the way of lasting peace and because they might contribute to a new escalation. And we saw that recently. And there was a rejection to the eviction of Palestinian residents from their homes in Jerusalem and to support the historic status of Jerusalem. And as you know, His Majesty King Abdullah II is responsible for the Muslim holy sites in Jerusalem, and he warned from violating the sanctity of these sites, asserting that that such actions will be considered provocation to millions of Muslims and Christians in the region and in the world. I think all of these are very positive steps, positive positions that we need to interact with in a positive manner. As for Europe, we think that Europe has a very important role to play. In our opinion, a unified European position will reflect the historic European position supporting a two-state solution, warning from unilateral steps that are taken, warning from illegal settlements that will destroy prospects for peace. We want to connect words with actions. This is a main requirement. We need to confirm the terms of reference for a just and lasting peace and to move effectively to prevent all unilateral steps that undermine prospects for peace, that undermine a two-state solution. If peace is if the two-state solution is lost, we will only have one solution, which is a single state, which means that we will either deal with an apartheid state or with a democratic state. This is a big challenge. And we confirm again that we need to move towards resolving the root cause of the conflict, which is the existence of the occupation. And all of us in the region and in Europe, with the new American administration and their positive tendencies, I think we need to work towards achieving a just and lasting peace and to return to serious negotiations, effective negotiations.
Thank you, ministers, and this concludes our press conference. Thank you.